if they find this guy with this drone. I see him. Is somebody here flying that drone? He is flying this thing.
Drone captures something in the canyon that no one was meant to see, revealing secrets hidden beneath our planet's surface. The world we live in is full of mysteries, some concealed under dense forests, others tucked away in rough cliffs that are now being uncovered thanks to advancing drone technology. This footage uncovers secrets buried beneath our planet's surface that could literally rewrite what we thought we knew about Earth. From hidden tunnels and eerie lights to traces of lost civilizations, this discovery has scientists baffled and viewers obsessed. Trust me, you'll want to see how this story unfolds. The canyon that hid a forgotten civilization. Hidden beneath thick layers of earth, rock, and wild vegetation, ancient civilizations have been waiting in silence for centuries, as though holding their breath for the day their stories could finally be told. It is fascinating to think that entire communities once filled with life, laughter, and tradition have been lying quietly below the surface, unnoticed and untouched by modern eyes. But now, thanks to the remarkable rise of drone technology, these forgotten voices are beginning to be heard again. Isn't it incredible how something as modern as a drone can help us uncover things that have been sleeping beneath the earth for thousands of years? In southern Utah, for example, an ex-soldier who had turned his fascination with flight into a passion for drone piloting stumbled upon something extraordinary. As his drone hovered high above a canyon wall, it captured footage that would leave archaeologists stunned. 20 petroglyphs etched onto a rocky ledge so steep and inaccessible that no one had dared to climb it. These carvings, depicting broad-shouldered and skinny-legged human figures, were identified as the work of the basket maker people who lived roughly 2,500 years ago. Archaeologist Jerry Spangler recognized these as the San Juan basket maker style, dating from about 500 BC to around 860 AD. He explained that many of these places were so dangerous to reach that archaeologists could not study them safely on foot. How many more ancient artworks, one might wonder, still cling to canyon walls beyond human reach, waiting for the steady hum of a drone to finally expose them to daylight? Even though some hikers later mentioned they had seen the carvings before, the drone footage still brought something special to the table. It wasn't just about finding something new, it was about seeing the old in a new light. The high-resolution images allowed researchers to document the carvings in remarkable detail without disturbing the fragile environment. It showed that drones weren't just tools for discovery, they were tools for preservation. The story didn't end there.
With a small remote-controlled drone equipped with thermal technology, archaeologists were able to see underneath the dry New Mexican desert the remains of a 1,000-year-old village in northwestern New Mexico.
Another astonishing find came from Blue Jay, a 1,000-year-old village about 43 miles south of New Mexico's famous Chaco Canyon. Archaeologists had long studied the site, but something about it never quite added up. Then, when they equipped a small drone with a thermal camera, the landscape began to reveal its secrets. The images exposed patterns beneath the desert floor that had gone unseen for generations. They found nearly 60 ancestral Puebloan houses clustered around what was once a large spring, and even discovered hidden stone compounds buried under layers of sand and vegetation. Most surprising of all was a large circular structure believed to be a kiva, a ceremonial gathering place central to Puebloan culture. For years, experts had thought Blue Jay was unusual because it lacked the monumental architecture seen in nearby Chaco sites. But the discovery of this potential kiva changed everything. It proved that Blue Jay might not have been as different as they once believed. Jesse Casana, one of the archaeologists involved, explained that traditional fieldwork takes enormous amounts of time, money, and labor. Drones, on the other hand, made it possible to look beneath the surface without disturbing a single grain of sand. Isn't that an amazing thought? That we can now study ancient civilizations without ever laying a shovel to the ground. Of course, one might ask why such incredible sites remained hidden for so long. The answer lies partly in nature itself. Over the centuries, layers of desert sand had buried the ruins at Blue Jay, and the sparse vegetation that grew on top helped disguise any trace of what lay below. Nearby cliffs had also eroded over time, depositing sandstone that further masked the ancient village. On top of that, the site's remote location worked like a natural shield, keeping it safe from the kind of looting and vandalism that often destroy archaeological treasures. As one archaeologist observed, the farther a site is from human reach, the more likely it is to remain untouched. It's almost poetic, isn't it? That isolation, the very thing that hides history, also protects it. But perhaps the most surprising part of this story is just how little we've actually explored. Experts estimate that only about 5% of archaeological sites in these canyon regions have been professionally surveyed, and even fewer have been excavated. That means countless other ancient communities could still be buried under the desert, waiting for their moment to speak again. Imagine that for a second. Whole cities, frozen in time, sleeping just beneath the sand, whispering stories of who we once were. It's almost haunting to think about how much history lies right under our feet, unseen and untouched, holding secrets that could rewrite everything we know about the past. And just when you think it couldn't get any stranger, something happens, something that makes archaeologists stop in their tracks. Deep beneath the rocks, a discovery was made that no one could explain. Some say it shouldn't even exist where it was found. Others believe it could be the missing link between two forgotten worlds. Whatever it is, it's something you'll want to see for yourself. So stay with me till the very end. This one's unbelievable. The strange object, buried in the rocks. Deep within the winding cracks and hidden folds of canyons, strange discoveries sometimes come to light, objects that make people question what they really know about these quiet, ancient landscapes. Over the years, drones have given explorers a new way to see what lies below, documenting everything from ancient artifacts to unique rock patterns shaped by time itself. But every now and then, these same drones capture something that doesn't seem to belong there at all. It's enough to make anyone wonder, how did it get there, and why was it left behind? That was exactly what happened during one ordinary drone exploration deep inside a remote canyon. The operator, who had flown over dozens of landscapes before, suddenly noticed something that felt completely out of place. As he steered his drone closer to the rocky walls, he saw a flash of blue among the muted earth tones of the canyon floor. What he found was startling. A large, sealed blue barrel wedged awkwardly between slabs of rock and thick vegetation, half buried as though someone had tried to hide it. He later described the moment, saying he had been flying his drone deep into the canyon when he spotted something strange, something that looked suspicious enough to make him want to take a closer look, just to understand what it really was. He quickly marked the coordinates and saved the footage, realizing that without the help of his drone, no one would have ever seen it. The area was too steep, too isolated, and almost impossible to reach on foot. He even recalled that during past explorations, he and his team had found barrels before, but they had always been empty. He mentioned one instance near Horse Creek where they had discovered a barrel tucked near a swamp, only to find nothing inside it. But this one was different. It looked completely sealed, untouched, and disturbingly deliberate. When he shared the footage online, the reactions came flooding in. People were fascinated but also alarmed. Many urged him to contact the authorities immediately. Several commenters wrote that he needed to report it to local law enforcement or at least share the photo and coordinates with someone who could investigate. After all, what could possibly be inside a sealed barrel left in such an unreachable location? The placement made it all the more mysterious. It didn't look like it had rolled there by accident. It looked like it had been hidden on purpose. But hidden by whom, and for what reason? Soon, theories began to swirl. Some people believed it might contain hazardous materials or toxic waste, suggesting that it could be part of a much larger environmental problem. Others thought it could be linked to the region's mining history, old chemical storage, perhaps, or leftover equipment from operations that had shut down decades ago. And then there were the more imaginative explanations, the ones that leaned into local legends. Could it be something left behind by smugglers? Or maybe part of a secret government disposal effort? Canyon communities have whispered stories for generations about strange things being found in the wilderness. Forgotten machinery, sealed crates, and mysterious containers that nobody dares to open. Sometimes these tales are passed down so many times that they blur the line between fact and folklore. The discovery of this particular barrel reignited those old stories. People recalled hearing about similar finds in other parts of the country, like the thousands of barrels that were discovered off the coast of Southern California between 2021 and 2025. Those barrels had caused quite a stir because scientists noticed unusual halo-like patterns forming around them on the ocean floor. At first, everyone panicked, thinking they might be leaking DDT, a highly toxic pesticide that had been banned decades earlier. It was later revealed that the Montrose Chemical Corporation had dumped roughly 2,000 barrels every month between the 1940s and 1980s, leading people to believe these newly found ones were remnants of that dark environmental chapter. However, as further studies were carried out, scientists found that the situation wasn't exactly what they had assumed. Researchers, including Dr. Johanna Gutleben from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography at UC San Diego, analyzed the contents of some of those barrels and discovered that they weren't filled with DDT after all. Instead, they contained a form of highly alkaline waste. The sediment around the barrels had hardened like concrete, she explained, creating unusual environmental conditions where only certain microorganisms could survive. Imagine that, entire ecosystems changing because of what's leaking from a single type of waste. In fact, Dr. Gutleben's study showed that the chemical reaction between the alkaline waste and the magnesium in seawater formed something called brucite, a mineral that created visible halos around the barrels. These halos were like scars on the seafloor, marking where the ecosystem had shifted. Only certain bacteria, extremophiles as they're called, could live within those rings. Everything else had died off or moved away. It made researchers realize just how lasting the impact of human pollution can be, even decades after the fact. So, when people saw that sealed blue barrel deep in the canyon, it was no wonder their minds went to similar places. Could it be the same kind of waste? Could it have been dumped there years ago, forgotten until now? Or was it something else entirely, something nobody had yet imagined? Without actually retrieving and testing it, experts could only make educated guesses. But one thing was certain, its existence opened a chilling doorway into a mystery few were prepared to face. If something like that could be hidden for so long, what else might be resting in the shadows, untouched and forgotten? As investigators dug deeper, what they found below the cliffs would blur the line between human carelessness and haunting history. So stay with me till the very end, because what lies beneath isn't just a story of lost machines, it's a reminder of how deeply our past lingers. Uncovering the ghost vehicles below the cliffs. When people think about mysterious discoveries, their minds often go to ancient artifacts buried deep underground or strange sealed containers from forgotten times. But in today's world, it's not always dusty relics or mysterious treasures that tell the most haunting stories. Sometimes it's the abandoned shells of modern human life, like cars, that whisper secrets from hidden canyons and desolate deserts. Thanks to drone cameras, these mechanical remains are being uncovered in places few humans could ever reach on foot. It's almost eerie to think that the latest technology, meant to capture breathtaking landscapes, now often stumbles upon what looks like graveyards of vehicles lying silently beneath cliffs and ravines. What happened to these cars? Who left them there? And why does it feel like every rusted frame is holding on to a forgotten story? One explorer, while testing his drone in a remote desert area, shared his excitement as his camera hovered over the dusty ground. He had said that it was always fun to find old cars in the desert, that it never got old. His voice carried that familiar blend of curiosity and awe that comes with discovering something hidden away from time. In another instance, Near the breathtaking sandstone formations of Page, Arizona, drone footage revealed an entire canyon filled with vintage cars, dozens of them, just sitting there like they had been tossed away by history itself.
So we are near the town of Page, Arizona. Out in the middle of the desert, there's a big collection of abandoned cars that have been pushed into a canyon.
The explorer could hardly believe his eyes as he counted what looked like 30, maybe even 50 vehicles, all piled together in the ravine. Who would imagine that in a place known for its natural beauty, such a mechanical graveyard would exist? The story behind this bizarre sight turned out to be even more fascinating than the discovery itself. Through bits of research and local history, one drone enthusiast found that, years ago, the town of Page had faced a peculiar problem. There had been a massive exodus. People moved away suddenly, leaving behind homes, belongings, and yes, their cars. The city, overwhelmed by the number of vehicles left behind, didn't know what to do with them. And so, in a solution that sounds almost absurd today, they simply decided to push the cars off the edge of a nearby canyon. Can you imagine that? Instead of towing them away or selling them for parts, they literally rolled them into the desert abyss. It's shocking, yet strangely believable for a time when disposal methods were less thoughtful. Many of these findings, it turns out, aren't the result of deliberate searches at all. They happen by accident. Explorers often admit that without the help of modern tools like Google Maps and Google Earth, most of these forgotten sites would remain completely hidden. One drone operator even remarked that none of this exploration would be possible without those online maps, because you simply wouldn't stumble across these cars otherwise. It makes one wonder, how many secrets does the Earth still hide beneath its silent canyons, waiting for some curious eye in the sky to rediscover them? But not every discovery comes with a clear or harmless explanation. Some abandoned cars carry markings that have sparked fear and confusion among everyday people. Reports began to surface about mysterious white X symbols appearing on vehicles parked in residential areas and public lots. At first glance, they might seem harmless, just some random mark of no importance. Yet for those who found them, especially women, the experience was anything but casual. One woman recounted how she noticed the white mark on her car just before unlocking it, and the feeling of unease that followed was instant. She later learned through social media that she wasn't alone. Other women had seen the same thing on their cars too. What did these strange marks mean? Some speculated they were linked to trafficking, while others believed they were signals used by criminals targeting vehicles for theft. Authorities tried to put the rumors to rest. The Mount Juliet Police Department, after investigating, found no evidence connecting the marks to trafficking. Meanwhile, Metro Police suggested that they could indeed be connected to car thefts, hinting that the X's might be a way for thieves to identify vehicles worth stealing. Still, the idea that a simple white X could carry such a sinister meaning sent a chill through many communities. How could such a small symbol stir so much fear? Driven by curiosity, the explorer searched tirelessly for clues. He looked up local accident reports, combed through old news stories, and searched the internet for any mention of a blue Mazda that might have crashed in the area. Yet, nothing came up. Not a single record of such an accident existed. That silence in itself was unnerving. Was it an old case forgotten over time, or was it something that had never been reported at all? Each discovery, whether a rusted car dumped by a city decades ago or a mysteriously marked vehicle found today, tells a fragment of a larger human story. They speak of carelessness, of tragedy, of curiosity, and sometimes of the strange ways people choose to leave things behind. In a sense, these forgotten cars have become modern artifacts themselves, not of ancient civilizations, but of ordinary lives interrupted or abandoned. And isn't that, in its own haunting way, just as mysterious? As technology continues to evolve, drones will likely uncover even more of these hidden sites, places once thought unreachable, filled with echoes of the past. But one can't help but wonder, for every car found at the bottom of a canyon or marked with a mysterious X, how many more stories lie waiting, buried beneath silence and time, unseen by any eye until a camera happens to pass overhead. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.